It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Ducky.
Lovely.
Exuberant.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Oh, this is going to be hell.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
That being said, I hope everybody out there is doing okay. So, what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Oh, thank God I'm going first, so I don't have to follow that. Maybe we should make her go last. I don't know.
I can.
Let's see. My week has been relatively normal. I'm at the point now where I don't even remember what I did last weekend, but I'm sure it was dull. Probably by design, though, because that's the way I am. Off of my trade pile, I have gotten to the kind of slightly depressing reading the final volume of I Hate Fairyland again because it's over, man. It sucks. And I also read the first volume of Ether, which is a fun little book. Very kind of cool dimension jumping fantasy story. Cool stuff. Slightly less dark than the stuff I've been reading lately, so.
Yeah.
Nice change.
Pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, next.
See, I just joked. I just joked about making her go last, and so now she's hesitant to start.
You know, I had a pretty normal week. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that grandbaby's finally here. That's been the whole week, pretty much.
All in one day, really.
Yeah. She's a beautiful girl. 6 pounds, 5 ounces.
Is that
She's
all?
long. Yeah. 19.5 inches long. So she's going to be tall like her mama, not short like her daddy. But boy, she's got his nose. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that we're all wrapped around that little finger already, and it's kind of weird because you hope for something for so long, and now that she's here, it's like this is better than what I had it in my head. You know, it's real now.
It is that.
It is.
I bet it's a lot realer for the parents than it is for you. But anyway.
It is, and you know, of course, they've moved into a new house not too long ago, and you know, as a mom, I want to be over there and I want to be doing, and it's kind of like, you know, the first couple of weeks they've got to figure this out. You know, they've on their own, not a bunch of, oh, you need to wash the bottles like this, and they need to figure all that out on their own. Because once they get into a little routine, I know they're going to totally rock being parents. They've both got that caring and loving, but can be fun and crazy too. So I'm very excited for her, and I mean, it's going to be an amazing chapter. Like I said, I thought the birth of my own children was the happiest I could have ever been, and I was completely wrong on that.
Well, and you were a lot more drugged up when that happened. This time you had
Not
hardly any
first
drugs at all, right?
Right. Not with him.
That we know.
He came too quick, you know. That we know, right?
That she's admitted so far, anyway.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Now she wouldn't share. But no, it was definitely an amazing experience. Totally and completely amazing experience. So, but yeah. Like I said, I've kind of been lost for words because there's.
She
just
says
don't
while
know
she's
how.
still talking, but
Right,
anyway.
you know. So let me try to explain it.
45 minutes later.
Right. But I think out of the whole experience, not to diminish, you know, my daughter-in-law who rocked it and did amazing, by the way, but to see James see his baby for the first time, I couldn't speak. I cried. I mean, just the look on his face. It wasn't a oh shit. It was a oh my God, she's here. You know. So I think they're totally gonna rock this. They've got this, and great couple, gonna be a great family, and I can't wait. I have the next 18 years of her life planned out.
Wow.
That I have no trouble at all believing.
Right.
Okay,
Well, that's great.
now that everybody's teeth hurt, who's next?
Well, this week I was on leave, and it had a good vacation. Of course, when you're retired, every day is vacation. But I did notice something in the travel magazine on the plane of a run that they hold in Boerne, Texas, which is down San Marcos, in that area, in the hill country. And I was so intrigued, I asked Gina to enter me in this, but they were already full. It's a distance run. It's the 0.5 kilometer run they do in Boerne, which is about 6 city blocks. And in this 0.5 kilometer run, at the beginning of the run, they give you beer. At the midpoint, they have coffee and donuts and a break for smoking, and they give you beer at the end of the run. They say that it averages about 10 minutes, so I could probably do this. Half a kilometer, I'm sorry, do what?
2 beers and some donuts, huh?
Yeah, damn straight.
I think
I might be able to do
I think
that.
we should all go down and do this together.
Group effort. Cheer each other on.
What I also found interesting about it was they have entries, if you wish, for proxy. You can have someone run the race for you. And that person will wear a GoPro so you see what they see as they're running.
That's
for
cool.
all of 6 city blocks. So
We could use my dog to run the race for us, and we can eat donuts and drink beer.
So you can either throw up by drinking too much beer, or you throw up because you're watching the running from first person.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what the donuts are for. It soaks up the beer.
Yeah, it holds all that stuff down. That's what. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right.
It's like a sponge.
Mm.
So I found that I think I'm going to enter that next season. It's the only unfortunate was it was on the free comic book day this year.
Ah,
Oh,
But I
man.
waited over and I said, no, I'll give up the free comic book day just this once.
Just once.
I think
Well,
it's
you
worth
could
it.
do both.
Well, let's
You know.
let's not get crazy here. I mean, honestly, after this race, he's not going to be able to drive
Right.
because of all that beer. So,
That's true.
I mean, he's going to have to take it easy for the rest of the day.
We'll use the dog again.
Yeah, stop at the halfway point and just take a nap.
I'm telling you, the San Marcos cops, they don't like to when you're letting the dog drive the car. It's not good. That doesn't end well.
That's true.
Might give away that you're drunk, too.
There's a good chance of that, yeah. It's
But
kind of,
if you're directing the dog how to handle the car, then I think you're okay.
yeah. The trick is getting the learner's permit for the dog before the race. That's the hard part. Can't
But
do
if he has a license, then you don't have to worry about it anyway, right?
Oh, God. It's really starting to sound like you've thought this through.
As long as she has
Yeah.
a learner's permit, we all have driver's license. She don't need a license.
Unfortunately, my dog would sound like Scooby-Doo and would just slow it. The poor officer would not know where the hell this is coming from.
That's where you pull out your ventriloquism skills. Because cops love that, too.
And then you've got a telecop. Have you been drinking? No, we've been eating donuts.
Coffee. That's what we were drinking.
It was just donuts.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool.
They need to do one of those here.
I think they kind of do something like that in downtown Garland. It's like the wine guzzler, so it's not beer, it's wine. And I think Intrinsic gets involved in that one. So there may be barbecue instead of donuts. So I'm not sure.
All right. I'm down.
Right?
That don't sound too bad.
And it may be a little smaller because I think it's just around the square.
Even better.
Right. 2 blocks less.
Mm.
Well, for me, I have a big fat zero. Life stuff's been going on, so I don't really have anything fun to say, especially after all that. And maybe for the best.
Yeah, sometimes it's best not to try to top things around here.
Mm-hmm.
So has anybody seen Shazam yet?
I was hoping to see it opening weekend. I didn't get a chance, so I hope to probably see it here real soon.
Yeah.
Heard a lot of good things about it.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about it, too. And, golly, his name just kind of blanked on me, the guy who plays him.
Zachary Levi.
He's been very, present on, Twitter and stuff. And I thought one of the cutest stories was a mom had taken her kid, and he was being bullied and stuff, and he was telling his mom, this is the best movie, and he's my favorite superhero now. And he actually responded to her. And
Yeah, I saw that because he was bullied at. Yeah, I saw that. The whole thing was the boy was being bullied, so mom decided to start doing homeschooling. And Zachary replies that he wished he had that as an option when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So he totally understood. Zachary's been incredible. He's been so positive. He's been so exciting and all that. It's been, he's literally bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
Um,
Which makes me want to go see it, you know.
What was so funny is my mom told me she had not seen any promotional stuff for Shazam. So she didn't know this was coming out. She hadn't heard anything. Then she saw his interview on The View. And she says, I want to go see the movie now. Just based off that interview with him.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, I kind of want to go too. but it's not because of an interview on The View. I just want to see it anyway.
Well, you know, there's certain actors that come along that they have such a connection to their fan base that they can, I mean, I don't know. I think like Arrow, the whole reason I have stuck it out this long is because Stephen Amell is amazing. He's really connected with his fans and he's done a lot for them, and it just makes you like him better. So I think he can get away with the bad storyline that they had last season because he is such a good guy, you know, a little more forgiving. So I see him as being one of those kind of guys, you know, really connected, and he'll do well because of that connection he has with his fans.
Yep. So the moral of that story is, you know, social media can actually be used for good.
It can, and don't forget where you came from.
Right.
Well, you talk about social media. It goes both ways. I mean, it's okay to have differing opinions, but let's not be an asshole about it. And that's part of the problems. And that's what some of these, whether you're an actor or you're a writer or an illustrator or whatever, you know, if you want to come at them and say, okay, I didn't like this, and here's the reason, okay. They may say, okay, that's fair enough. Sorry you didn't enjoy it. Maybe you like my next activity or my next project. But if you just do this, you know, and we've all seen it. But if you just do it really hostile and all that, then you know, the entitlement has been really bad. But you know, we don't really want to go down that road.
Yeah. I didn't want to start that ball rolling again, but yeah.
So.
Yeah. It is nice, though. My point was, it is nice to see it used well.
Yes.
For a change.
Yes. He's been great. It's been very nice to see that, and it's been nice to see that the movie's doing so well. Yep. Had a very nice opening, and of course Captain Marvel has done real well. As I've already broke over the $1 billion mark, so congratulations to Captain Marvel. So both movies are doing real well, and we're just a few weeks away from Endgame.
Yeah. Dun dun dun.
And I did see something just within the last couple of days that there will be no intermission, and I'm like, fine, there shouldn't be intermission. You know what?
And people were acting upset about that, and it's like, when? Why would you expect there to be one?
Well, we talked about that with just real recently, and it's just like, where were these people? And I brought it up then. Where were y'all when the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films came out? Because those were 3 hours. And I've got a pretty good feeling that you're not going to feel that 3 hours unless you're drinking a 6-foot cold drink. Then you know what, you did
of popcorn.
Yeah, then you did it to yourself.
Right. That's just dumb. That's what that is. Not saying
if you can't control your bladder, yeah.
Right. Which you should know beforehand if that's the case. I mean, you should know your bladder. If you don't know your bladder, go see your doctor. I mean, come on.
Well, see, I'd rather walk out of a movie having more drink left than be sitting there halfway through the movie going, damn, I wish I had a drink. I don't want to get up and go get another drink, you know.
So what we're saying here is, please drink responsibly.
Yeah, if you're watching a 3-hour movie, absolutely. Responsibly means don't suck down the whole big gulp in the first 10 minutes.
If that's a problem, then don't go see them, but wait until the movie comes to on demand or DVD or whatever. Then
Right,
and you can
do
it from home.
To a bathroom screen near you.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
It's like, wow.
I was thinking more of hitting pause than continue watching, but yeah.
Can't hit pause. That would ruin the experience. That was sarcasm, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of crazy.
Anyway, before we get into this week's discussion, want to make obviously our monthly meetup. By the time this drops, we've already had our April, but hey, the May meetup's going to be coming up. As of right now, we're still going to have it at the same location, Wing City in Garland. Let me get that address for you real quick. 1456 Beltline Road, Suite 120, and the zip is 75044. We'll have that up on our website in the not too distant future, so you can be apprised of the event, and I'm sure we'll have something on Facebook. These have been fun. I've enjoyed these. I know you guys have as well, and I'm expecting April's meetup to be nothing less than a blast. So, geeks in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you can make it, it'll be great. Come out. Have an opportunity to meet us and tell us what you think about the show, and let's talk about what's going on in comics, movies, TVs, whatever you're interested in discussing. We would definitely love to hear and discuss with you. Okay, put a little disclaimer on this week's episode because this was kind of a little bit of a scramble. We had something lined up and things kind of fell through, so we were going, okay, why don't we do this? So it should be an interesting discussion because I'm not sure how much prepared time to prepare we all had, but this actually came about through some discussion we were having last week pre-show. I don't remember how this happened, Liz. but the Zack Snyder comment came up again, and
we're not going off on that tangent again.
We're not going to go off on that again.
Zip.
So we kind of discussed that a little bit, and I believe I was the one that mentioned the fact that Ezra Miller it's been announced that he's basically dropped out of the Flash project, so half of the Justice League is now uncast. All we really have is Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and Ray Fisher as Cyborg. So we only have 3 of the 6 now cast. We figured we would take this time, and since we've been having some fun doing our own casting calls, that we would just go ahead and try to fill these roles for the next film. And I'm going to go ahead and admit that I actually had a harder time with this than I had with some of the other ones. This one was a little bit more difficult for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you guys, but we'll just see where we go. So, who would like to go first?
I guess I'll keep tradition and go.
Okay.
I was just getting ready to volunteer so that you didn't have to do that again.
Do we want to do a coin? Do we want to do a coin flip?
No.
A coin flip on Spike or Skype and see who goes first.
It don't matter to me.
Fine, then I'll do it.
Okay.
And I have to say I found the villain half of this list very interesting for a few reasons that we'll get to. But let's go ahead and start with the elephant, one of the elephants in the room, Superman.
Okay.
You said you had trouble with some of this. I found that the only trouble I had with it was that I am a little out of touch in terms of acting talent for modern stuff. For some reason, it's easier for me to pick stuff out of the 70s or to pick actors out of the 70s than it is for me to do it for today. But
we've watched it more.
Right. I mean, and I haven't watched crap in the last 3 years, so there we go. But anyway, so for Superman, I chose Matt Bomer. And part of me is a little surprised that I would be real surprised if his name hasn't come up for real in Superman casting, because if he doesn't look the part, I don't know the part. And
he does.
From what I've seen in some of the stuff he's done, he's a very nice actor, very good actor. So I think he's got the presence to pull it off. I imagine playing that role would be kind of a mind screw to begin with, just because, I mean, it's been done so well and so poorly at the same time. And I could see, and it's an iconic enough role that it would be difficult to make your own as an actor. So I bet that's difficult. So I don't know. I think it's a tough one, but I think you can do it.
See, it's kind of funny you chose him, because I went the other way with another Magic Mike guy.
Uh-oh.
I picked Channing Tatum.
Channing.
There you go.
Damn it.
Channing
Now
Tatum.
you got us all messing up his resume. Jeez.
I pulled out the big guns.
Literally and figuratively.
Right. But he did voice the Superman part in Lego Batman, which kind of led me more to leaning towards Channing.
Did he? I didn't realize that. I missed that one somehow. Cool. Interesting.
Yep.
That's interesting. I like that choice. That's interesting.
And not to be totally sexist here, but he has the physique for Superman.
I don't know that that's sexist.
Yeah. You never know nowadays.
Well, true enough.
I had to put the disclaimer on it. But that whole movie, that's what it was about. And, he's done other roles, too, where, it's been physical. So, I think
he was Duke in G.I. Joe.
Yeah. And then he's been a soldier in another movie that I can't think of the name of it now. And then he's been in funny parts too. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they would definitely use the funny for Superman, but he's a pretty well-rounded actor.
I like that. And since we don't know if he'll ever do the Gambit film, especially now that Fox is now owned by Disney, we don't know if that movie will ever get off the ground. Then he's available.
He would have been a good Gambit too, though. I could see him as Gambit more than Superman. Now that you say that.
Okay. Do you want me to go next, Les?
Let me toss one.
Okay. All right.
I was thinking Brian Thomas Smith in the role. Brian Thomas Smith plays Zach on Big Bang Theory, one of Penny's boyfriend's ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
You probably notice him now doing I guess it's an Uber commercial. He's the man driving in traffic, sitting there, and he just says nope and puts his car in reverse.
Yeah.
Goes up the entrance ramp backwards, drives all the way to his house, calls Uber, and Uber takes him to his appointments and wherever he needs to go. And he just keeps saying nope as he's driving backwards, but when Uber picks him up, he says yep. So I know he can do comedy, but I've got a feeling he can probably do some serious work too.
Yeah.
Trying to see if there was something that he had done. I don't see anything that is jumping out that he had succeeded in on the big screen. But I felt that he is a guy big enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
And he's got the square chin where he could probably be the Superman. In fact, on one of the episodes of Big Bang, he was in a Superman costume.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, what a giveaway.
Didn't look bad.
Okay, my turn. I'm going to blow everybody's mind with my pick. Henry Cavill. I liked him.
I did too.
I didn't have to me, the problem with the films were not due to him.
Mm-mm.
It was the material he had to work with. I thought he was a fine Superman.
And you know, after Christopher Reeves, I really wanted to hate him, but he came in and really did a good part. So that's why I was kind of like, wow, how do you cast someone who's been played so well by two other people?
I never wanted to hate him, and that's one of the things about Brandon Routh. I didn't want to hate him either, and I don't hate him. If anything, and I've made my feelings on this before, I felt sorry for him because he didn't get a chance to, for the most part, to make the role his. He had to play Christopher Reeve playing Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting if he had actually had the chance to make it his own. And Cavill had that chance. He just had not great material to work with. And I guess Warner Brothers is making him pay the price by, moving on. I don't know, but that's my pick.
Not bad.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I never really had a problem with. I mean, I only saw Man of Steel, but I didn't really have a problem with him in the role.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the role that was screwed up.
Right.
And I wouldn't mind seeing Tom Welling play a good Superman part either. I think he did awesome in Smallville, so he's got the character down.
Yep.
And he can do it. I've seen him act in movies, but he was also on the TV series Lucifer recently.
Yes, he was.
So he's held up well, too.
There you go.
Alrighty. Very nice. Who's next? Who are we casting next?
All right, let's bounce around a little bit.
Okay.
Let's jump to one of the villains.
There you go.
The first villain on the list that we were given was Vandal Savage. And being somewhat less familiar with Superman's Rogues Gallery, I had to do a little bit of research on pretty much all of these. And I actually think that this would be a really interesting character. So I went with someone who's got a bit of a track record for this one. And keep in mind that I think for this role you really have to do some minor prosthetic work. So there's going to be some significant makeup going on pretty much no matter who you cast for this role.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
I can see that.
Because I think he's got the range, and I think he's got the presence. I've seen him in enough things where he's kind of played the heavy a little bit. That I think it would be interesting to see.
Nice. That's a nice choice. I hadn't thought about him, but yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going more for an intellectual savage.
Yes.
Okay.
See, I went more brawny, and I went with Dwayne Johnson. Just you slap sideburns on him, and he looks like the comic book character.
I didn't think of that, but yeah.
And he's got quite a range behind him too. He's played horror to Disney to family to
Mm-hmm.
I think he could do it.
Yeah, he's done action, he's done suspense, he's done stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Comedy. Can't argue with that.
No. I like that one too. Les, who do you have?
Go ahead. I'm still mulling.
Okay. I actually had two names. One a little bit more obvious than the other. And the one I'm talking about being obvious is he's done a lot of bad guys, so I mean it's kind of old hat for him. I thought about Benicio del Toro.
That's interesting.
Okay.
The other one, I think he can do it. You talk about doing a little makeup, probably to try to make him look a little older since he's supposed to be immortal. But I think he can do it as Oscar Isaac. He's well known in the genre. I mean, he played Apocalypse in the last X-Men movie, but I don't hold that against him. I like him. He's a really good actor, and I think he can. I think he can handle the role. I think both of them can do it.
What was the name of that movie? Ex Machina. Have you ever seen Ex Machina?
No.
Watch that and you'll see him in the Vandal Savage role.
Okay. I'll have to look for it. But yeah,
I can totally see that.
Nice pick.
Thank you.
It is. Yep.
I was looking for a tall figure because to me, Savage started out as a Cro-Magnon, but with what he received from the meteor, gave him stature, gave him an erect look. And I was thinking of Clancy Brown.
Ooh.
A tall man with a deep voice that commands the movements. Because, as you know, he was the voice of Lex Luthor on the Superman Adventures.
You talk about an actor who's been known playing the heavy. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
And he does it so damn well.
Oh, yeah.
That I like that a lot.
But he's done the good guy too. He was one of.
Oh, I know, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, he can go either direction.
Oh yeah, he's got the range, plain and simple.
Yeah.
He does.
Yep. Hard to argue with that one, for sure.
Yep. Very nice. So who are we going with next?
Okay, back to the other elephant. Let's talk about Batman. Because the Batfleck thing is over, so we got to move on. And on this one, I went with somebody who I thought looked the role, but was maybe a little less known. I went with Wes Bentley. And if you don't know who that is, recently he's been in some of the American Horror Story shows. The role he's probably still best known for, though, was he was in the movie American Beauty back in the late 90s. He was actually the stoner kid, but he wasn't really a stoner type. And he had kind of the tall, dark look with the piercing eyes. And I think he just would. One, I think he just fits the look probably better than anybody we've had in a while. And two, I think he's got the intensity to pull it off.
I can see it. I definitely can see it. He's handsome enough where you can put him in a tuxedo or a business suit that he can definitely do the Bruce Wayne. But you can see in the eyes that he could do the Dark Knight. I like that. I like that choice a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, I agree.
This one was probably the hardest one on the list for me. And I think because, I don't know, they've done it wrong before and it really sucked. And I don't know, I guess when you're so close to a character, you don't want it to be done wrong, you know? But then you sit there and think, and everyone you come up with, you're like, no, he couldn't do it because Batman. But throwing it all out, and after talking to James at the hospital, we came up with more of like an Earth 2 Batman. So get ready for this one. I was thinking Jeffrey Dean Morgan. They're going for an older Batman. You can clean him up, and he looks young because they've done that in Supernatural with him. And what even got us there was Jensen playing Red Hood. Or Nightwing, or Jason Todd, or whoever. But, you know, that's what drew me to him. And he plays a good part as far as being very serious. He can be mean and vicious. He showed us that with Negan. Of course, we don't want a Negan Batman. We don't want that. But I think if we went with the more John Winchester role that he played, that would be a good older Batman.
Good, because don't let him fall into the comedian for this.
No.
Because that would be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, every single hero in that movie was, and I mean in the story too, to an extent, was a different version of Batman anyway. So,
right,
that would just be bad.
I think he would add a more mature, kind of like what they were going for with Clooney, but didn't get. Because they put nipples on the bat suit.
That was exactly where my brain went to. If it wasn't for the nipples on the bat suit, they could have pulled it off.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But without going too off the track, I know what they were trying to do in that movie. It's just a lot of people didn't get it. They were really trying to get the comic book feel. Not a comic book movie, but the comic book feel to the movie with the whole over-exaggerating and the bright colors everywhere. So I get the concept on that, but I couldn't get past the nipples. You know?
See, my take on that was that they were, I mean, yes, as far in terms of the look, they were going for the four-color comic thing.
Yeah.
The problem is that the story they used was going straight for the camp version, and so
Yeah.
it never even came close to working.
Kind of like a 66 Batman,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like they pulled a story from that, and they pulled like 90% of the dialogue from that, and there was just no way that was going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what you did, there was no way it was going to work.
And I like George Clooney. I mean, that's like Ben Affleck. I like Ben Affleck, but I didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. You know, even when they announced that, it was kind of like, ooh.
Really?
Everybody else was busy, huh?
Yeah, Affleck's got them all locked in a warehouse somewhere.
Yep.
Everybody else is
not answering their phones that day.
Pick me.
But like I said, that's only if they cast Jensen as Red Hood to somehow bring him into this.
Well, I mean,
He looked freaking amazing as Red Hood.
It's a thought.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a Teen Titans, Justice League kind of thing. Ooh, and then we can cast Jared as Damien. Get the whole family in there.
Keep your shirt on. That name may come up again later.
Ooh, even better.
Nepotism at its best.
Alrighty, Les.
Well, I'm going to follow with a name that's been mentioned before, and that's Matt Bomer. To me, he would fit more of a thinking man than Superman. Just in the respect, seeing him on White Collar and how he presented himself there. I'm sorry, Ike, but I just think that he would be a better fit as the thinking crime fighter. One that's not relying on his strength or something.
Oh, you don't have to apologize to me for this, because what I had a rotation of about 4 names that I was bouncing back and forth between the 2 roles, and his was obviously one of them. So I'm with you. I get it.
Yeah, it just seemed like that would be a possible fit.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
As long as it's not Nick Jonas. Have y'all seen that?
I'm a little surprised that Zac Efron hadn't come up in this conversation yet. But then again, Tom hasn't gone yet, so anything's possible.
And here comes the Nick Jonas pick.
You think I would really go that way?
We're open.
No, I was going to say Robert Pattinson. No, not really. Not really.
Literally Batman.
Excuse me, I had to get up off the floor.
Oh man.
No, my choice. It's not an original one, but I'm sorry. I kind of like the idea. I like Armie Hammer. I think you can do an interesting role. I think you can do it some justice.
Justice. That's funny.
Yeah. Pun not necessarily intended. You know what? He was actually going to be in the version that they were going to do about, I don't know, it's about 20 years ago or something or 15 years ago. That was going to be the choice for Batman then. But his name keeps coming up, and then when I was doing the research, looking, I came up and I saw pictures of him now. I'm like, I mean, he's in good shape. He'll need to bulk up a little bit, but he can definitely pull the Bruce off. And from what I've seen of him, I think he can do Batman well as well.
Cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Thanks for the vote of confidence there, Mike.
We've seen him on a horse. Let's see him in a car.
There you go.
Then why put him in a car when you can put him in the Batmobile? Okay, are we next?
Yeah, we're next.
All right. Okay, flipping back to the villains. The next villain on the list was Kanjar Ro. And so far the theme is that these villains, they don't necessarily all look human, which makes things interesting. In a way, it makes casting kind of easier because you don't have to worry about what the actors look like so much. So, I mean, my attitude on Kanjar Ro is you could almost just go CG and just put a voice actor in this. I think my thought process for this was let's try not to. And so the person I went with was Jeffrey Donovan.
Ooh.
Because I'm thinking he can pull off the dark thing if he needs to, and I think he's got enough physical presence to at least be a good frame for whatever you end up having to do to the poor guy in the makeup chair. But
I can see that.
yeah, I thought you might like that pick.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm going to put him on my list.
What's a do-over?
Do-over.
So I guess we can just move on to Les then.
Yeah, we know who Liz is picking now.
You know who Liz is picking.
Well, my original pick was someone who's done a lot of behind-the-scenes voice work.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Matthew Gray Googler. He's voiced Enigma. I think he's voiced Riddler for them before. So it would be nice to finally put him in front of the camera. And he's a good actor, too. Does amazing on Criminal Minds.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you mentioned him last week.
Mm-hmm. I like him.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
To where they could do either. They could do the CGI since he's familiar with the voice work, but I think he'd be better in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is one of those roles I think you could go either way with that. I mean,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Alrighty, Les. And you're welcome that I actually included Kanjar Ro. I figured you liked that.
I'm glad you did. That's one of my favorite Justice League villains. I was looking more at the physical shape of the character. And with the proper facial prosthetics, I would say DJ Qualls would be a fit. The man that's most notably on Z Nation.
Okay. I remember him from Road Trip.
Yeah. And what was the movie?
Now, hasn't he been in something DC?
Well, let me see.
I don't know.
No, I don't think he has. I know he's been in Supernatural, too. He's one of the hunters.
15 seasons, friggin' everybody's been in Supernatural.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Was it the new guy? Yeah, it was the new guy that he did back in 2002. with Eliza Dushku. And that's the movie that I remember him in, mainly because of her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one. I hate to say it, I kind of went a little obvious here. And yeah, he can go live action, or he can do the CGI thing. But he's certainly well respected from the latter. Not to say that he's not from the former, but Andy Serkis.
If nothing else, he's got some experience with motion capture.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I kind of went obvious, but it's because he does a good job. So
That he does.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
But if you want to go to live action route, he certainly has done that. So I think either way, he would do a great job.
I think so too.
All right, who is next?
Okay, let's do Flash next.
Mm.
And this is my pick that's going to make Liz very happy.
Mm.
Because I went with Jared Padalecki on this one. Because he just strikes me as having kind of the demeanor for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I can put it into words exactly. I'm probably not familiar enough with his work to explain it properly, but I think especially of any of these characters, this is the one that he's going to be best suited for.
I could see him doing a Flash.
Well, hell, if you can see it, then
Yeah.
I picked right.
I mean, I would even go watch him play the Easter Bunny, though.
Yeah.
This is not about whether you would put money down. It's about whether you think he could play the role. Come on now.
Right. No, I could see that, though, because he does have the same kind of demeanor. See, I chose Grant Gustin just because I think if something's not broke, don't fix it. He's done a good job. But with Jared, they kind of have that same not sure but confident, kind of when they need to be, and I could see that.
Yeah, see, I actually kind of agree with the Grant Gustin thing too, because yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little weird that they didn't even seem to consider him.
Yeah.
For the movies, I don't know.
Well, it's because they have this mindset that these are all different universes, and so the TV universe is separate from the movies, and that even with the movies, there's not exactly one set universe, as we will discuss later on in the show.
We will totally discuss that later on in the show. But
go ahead, Les.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was the reason why I didn't pick Grant. I mean, I don't have a problem with how he's done the job on the show. He's done a great job. I love him. But since there's this kind of philosophy that they're trying to keep all this stuff separated, which I don't approve, obviously. I kind of didn't pick him. This is one that I kind of had a problem with, because the Flash I would love to see. I didn't care for how they handled him in Justice League, with him being just the. I don't mind him geeking out a little bit and going, "Oh my God, look at this," or and that kind of. If it was reined in a little bit, it seemed like it was too much. And it would have been nice if they focused a little bit more on, and they probably would have in future films, that how incredibly smart and a little bit more of the detective side of him. So I really kind of went out there with my pick. Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I can see him kind of geeking out a little bit, but but kind of bring the maturity and the what we expect out of a Barry Allen Flash. So.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, that's a fit.
That is.
And funny you should say that. That's one of my two choices. The other was the man that brought you Officer Bimbo in Hollywood Nights, Gaylord Sartain. No, I'm kidding.
Like, wait, what?
Oh,
Actually,
going for the geriatric Flash, are we? Flash's got a walker now.
this is
So fast, he's all.
Okay, we're talking Barry Allen. We're not talking Jay Garrick here, Les.
well, okay. But in the Speed Force, he can be anybody. Actually, the other one I was thinking about was the voice of the Flash in several cartoons, and that was Michael Rosenbaum,
Yep.
who also played Lex Luthor
Smallville.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. I can see that too.
That's doable.
But I think he may be a little past the age. Yet I also see Flash as Alex Ross did, and he in his comic, Ross always showed Flash in a blur figure. So you never, just like, to me, that's what Superman would do, would be in a blur figure where you could not distinguish him, and hence the glasses as Clark Kent would actually work. In this figure, in Flash, he is in constant movement because the molecules of his body are just moving. It's not that he's having to be, just shot out of a cannon all the time. So Rosenbaum would probably be my choice there.
Especially if we get Tom Welling as Superman.
There would be a coup.
That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. Yeah, I actually think it's kind of interesting that you guys seem to be getting hung up on ages so much. I actually kind of went at this with the mindset of, if they're all, as long as they're like in their 30s, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where.
Well, because Hollywood and makeup nowadays,
Right. Anybody younger than that's going to be unknown, and anybody older is definitely going to look like geriatric Flash.
Yeah.
So it's just easier to just stick in that age range and kind of, play with it in makeup if you have to.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
And he was in the Guardians movie, wasn't he? Volume 2.
That sounds right, but I can't for the life of me think of who he was.
Yeah.
He played Martinex.
Hmm.
And that was that not one of the crew members of...
That was one of the original members, yeah. In the comics, I don't remember what it was. He was it like the Ravagers or something like that in the movie?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so.
All right, there you go. Crossing the streams a little bit with the universes, but that's all right. It's good for them.
Keeps them active.
Absolutely. Alrighty, so next on the list is Brainiac.
Mm.
And this was the one that I figured, I think we probably really just need to go CG on this one. Either way you go, I mean, whichever appearance you want to start with, I think it's probably best to just do the CG, because there's even when Brainiac looks the most human, he still doesn't look human.
Yeah.
So I went with somebody who, well, honestly, who not only has a ton of experience with heavy makeup, but also has done more than his fair share of voice work. I went with Jeffrey Combs. Because honestly, that dude can do anything.
Hmm.
I have seen him in so many different roles. It's just scary. And I mean, good guys and bad guys. So I know he can do both. And I also, I want to say, I'm drawing a blank now, but I want to say he actually did a voice role of some robotic type character, some computer voice, somewhere along the line. I'm drawing a blank on what it could have been, but so he can even kind of do that stilted robotic sound a little bit if he needs to. I mean, with Brainiac, he doesn't necessarily need to, but I think it would be fun. I think it would be fun to like turn him loose with that role a little bit.
That would be cool.
Okay.
Get him involved with character building.
He did a lot of voice work for the Lego DC supervillains too.
Huh.
There you go.
He voiced H.P. Lovecraft and Howard Lovecraft in the Kingdom of Madness. Could that be what you're thinking of?
No, but if you want to jump back to that, he also played Herbert West in the Reanimator movies,
Right.
which are based on Lovecraft stories.
Well, I was looking
and
at.
he's not a nice man in those movies, I'm telling you. Which is weird, because he's actually not really the villain either.
Right.
But that's Lovecraft for you. Basically, in Lovecraft, everybody sucks.
Okay.
I went with David Tennant.
I like it.
Yeah, he plays a really good villain in Jessica Jones. So he's got the bad guy. He's definitely got the intellectual part down. You know, I think he could really rock that part.
I like it.
I like it. Yep. Yep. Les, who you got?
Well, I've got a couple here. One is John Barrowman.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could take the evil part in this one and pull it off. But I was also looking at somebody to jump from Marvel, and that was Hugh Jackman.
That would be one way to get him out of the shadow of Wolverine.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the character that first appeared in the late 50s as the man who shrunk Kandor,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the ooze that was on Smallville, things like that.
Yeah, that's probably where he looked the most human-like, too. I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
My choice, I think I went with kind of Alice Sympathy, because how he was handled in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. but he can play a really good bad guy. And yeah, I'm thinking of the humanoid, the green skinned humanoid, and he's no stranger to doing makeup and all that kind of thing. I went with Ben Kingsley.
I could see that one too.
Yeah, he was definitely mishandled.
Yeah.
As the Mandarin.
Yeah.
The quote-unquote Mandarin.
Right.
Yeah. The one that had the...
I think the Mandarin was
captain.
mishandled in that one.
Yes, you're very correct.
The man with the Captain America shield tattooed on his neck. Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Good choice.
Yeah, he's one of those it's hard to go wrong with. I mean, because he not only can he do anything, he pretty much has done anything. And
Oh yeah, he has done it all.
Yep.
Alrighty.
We're on the next.
We are on the next.
Okay, last but not least. Well, maybe least, but it depends on how you look at it. This one, I think this one is, for me, this one, in a way, it was the easiest one to cast because it was so badly miscast when they did it in the first place. Green Lantern. I really, really, even watching that movie, I thought, man, Ryan Reynolds is wasted in this role. I think maybe that's because I don't much like Hal Jordan. So I opted to take the easy route and cast Jon Stewart.
Okay.
In our little movie here. And
which I hate to interrupt you there.
No.
For Green Lantern, I told the guys any one of them that you wanted to cast. It could be Hal, it could be John, it could be Guy, it could be Kyle, or whoever. So
yeah, and
we may not be casting the same Green Lantern. So
right. I mean, and Jon Stewart's I've always kind of liked him.
Mm-hmm.
For attitude, if nothing else. And I chose David Oyelowo for this role. He's a guy who I don't see a whole lot of comedy on his casting list. So I think that fits. I think Stewart is a much more serious character, and I think you need a serious actor for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think David Oyelowo is that.
Cool. Interesting. I like that.
See, I went the easy route, and I've always agreed with Les when he said that it wasn't Ryan Reynolds that made that part bad. He acted what he was given.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying let's give him a better script and give him a chance to redeem himself from that role. Because he's gone on and done much, much, much better. So maybe with a different environment and extra supporting characters, he could redeem himself from that last movie.
Oh,
so I went easy.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Ryan in the film. It's just, once again, it's like a villain. He did the best with what he worked with, which was a mess. It was too much that they tried to do in one film, and it just so he paid the price for it.
He did. And they blamed him for it when actually it was the script that he acted,
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like I said, I liked him in the film, so I'm obviously approve that casting choice. So, how about you, Les?
Well, I've got to agree with Reynolds as a choice. But looking past that, I was thinking, is it Mogu? Is that one of the, was that not the planet?
Yeah.
Then for that, I pick Alderaan. I think that would have been a good choice.
Nah, see, that planet blew.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I will say, all jokes aside,
Yes, no one laughed, but okay.
the audience is rolling right now. It's cool.
Okay.
The idea of picking a non-human Green Lantern to put in this spot, I think it would be interesting. I didn't think of it until just now, honestly, so I didn't actually cast anything for it. But I think I kind of like the idea of having a non-human Green Lantern in the Justice League. I think it's maybe a little off what they've done in the past, but who cares? I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Kind of give it that Guardians of the Galaxy feel.
To an extent, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you kept it as straight-laced as like Martian Manhunter in that sort of style, pick just sort of the kind of the slightly clueless alien.
Yeah.
It could still be a lot of fun. But yeah, you could also go, honestly, a bit silly with it and have a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of them to choose from. And if you don't want to choose any, you could honestly make something up. It would be fairly easy. Take a more cosmic stance on the whole Green Lantern concept and run with it.
Well, I mean, if you really want to go the Guardians route, you would do Chip, the squirrel.
Yeah, something like that. That might be just a bit
That would be
too
cute.
far, but it would. Yes, you'd get the cute factor in there big time.
And he would kick Rocket Raccoon's ass.
He would.
100%.
Any objections to that, please contact Thomas Chick.
No, I thought that's what we were using the fake Les Webster account for.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
Direct my way. Just give me that backup sound.
Beep, beep, beep. Okay. It's kind of interesting that we all went different direction, which is cool. That's kind of what I was kind of hoping to do. The one I went with I went with Guy Gardner.
Cool.
And I wanted the smart ass that I'm the tough guy in the room, and these others are pansies and all that. So you got the ego and all that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I went with Domhnall Gleeson, and I'm sure I butchered his first name, and I'm so sorry. But from the new Star Wars trilogy, but I just realized that he was in Ex Machina that you mentioned earlier.
Yes,
with Oscar Isaac.
Yes, he was.
So now I definitely need to see that film. But I can just see him kind of pulling off the attitude, and there'll be a little comedy to this, because I mean he's obviously going to be the one who, is going to be the one that's going to be kind of irritating. So so we're not a kumbaya group. So I kind of wanted to shake things up a little bit. So I went with Guy, of course.
Of course. Be interesting. I have not seen him in... I haven't seen just a ton of his stuff, obviously, because I don't watch a lot of movies. But I haven't really seen him in anything even vaguely comedic yet. So it will be interesting to see how he handles it, for sure. But yeah, what I've seen him in, he's really good in, for sure.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying he'd be strictly comedic, but I mean,
right.
Yeah. But I can kind of see him, with the attitude. Not only just what I've seen in just in some of the films I've seen him in. I'm like, okay, he might be able to do it. He could definitely pull off the look.
Yes.
Yeah, he could.
For sure.
With Gleason, wasn't he in a time travel movie? Is this the English actor?
He was Bill Weasley in the Deathly Hallows films.
Okay.
He was also the Admiral guy in the new Star Wars movies.
Right. Yeah. General Hux. Yep.
Yeah, General, whatever.
Yeah. Same difference.
Yep.
Because he did a movie with Bill Nighy, who was the leader on pirate radio. But in the movie with Gleason, if I remember correctly, then let me check this, make sure about this.
You're talking about Time with Rachel McAdams, Bill Nighy?
Yes.
Yeah. That's him.
And that was a stretch, too, because he had to play drama and he had to play comedy just about side by side.
And Margot Robbie.
Yes. Played his former girlfriend.
Harley herself.
Mm.
Which is, and if you get a chance, it is an interesting movie. I know it's time travel, but it's interesting how he comes about.
And Mike's out.
That's why I tried to keep him.
Not necessarily.
He's damn close.
I like all our choices as always. I think there was some really really interesting casting there. I always love doing these because you guys always pick one like, oh, why didn't I think of him or her, or oh, I didn't see it that way. I kind of like that, that kind of thing. So these are always fun. I always look forward to these, and we'll be doing a lot more of these as we go down the road. But I think we did a really good job considering we kind of had not a lot of prep time to do this one. So
yeah, we did this one as kind of calling an audible because of things.
Yeah, things happen. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We do want to, since we kind of teased it already, we do want to take a few moments to discuss the Joker teaser trailer that came out here real recently, and our thoughts about that, since we're already kind of doing a DC cinematic universe episode. If y'all want, I'll just go ahead and put out my thoughts, and then y'all can follow along if that's okay with y'all.
Bring it.
When they first announced this, that they were doing this movie, I was going, why? And just the bits that we were seeing here left and right, I just kind of had, I was just kind of weary. I saw the trailer. I like the trailer. I kind of like the story that they're doing. The problem is, for me, is obviously this is a different universe Joker, because we're not, as far as we can tell, because we don't even only from that teaser trailer. The only way we know it's a DC film is, first of all, you see the logo,
yeah,
and then there's a reference to Arkham Hospital. That's about it that we've seen in the trailer. And this is taking place in 1981. God, this movie could be this. You could do this movie. about a down on luck guy who's apparently a failed comedian having to take care of his mother. This is all I'm gathering from the trailer. Who life literally and figuratively kicks his ass every time he turns around, and gets to the point where apparently he goes insane and puts on the makeup and the funny clothes, and God knows what he does after that, because we don't see that part. You could do that. You could even call it Joker, and it not be a DC film. I mean, it's like I'm watching this and I'm thinking of, and I can't remember the movie, the Michael Douglas film, where he was the guy in the short button down shirt and the tie and the buzz cut. He's just average Joe guy until he just had it fed up one day and he starts walking around with a damn shotgun.
I believe the movie you're thinking of is called Falling Down.
Okay, Falling Down. It seems like kind of the same thing, but somehow this is a origin of the Joker. And I'm just like, okay. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the movie. It really shouldn't. You could just yank all the DC ties out of it, and it still would be kind of an interesting film. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. I'm right there with you. When I watched it, I thought, this is great because I like the psychopathic killer movies and that kind of thing. That's right up my alley. But when you try to sell this to me as Joker, it's like, no, it's not. That's not the Joker. The Joker, I think Mike kind of touched on it, behind the scenes when he was like, when you give him an origin story, you take away a lot of what makes the Joker the Joker. And to give him a solid background that even the Joker himself, in the comic books says, I don't know what the hell I came from. I don't know what my past was. I only knew from the time that Batman made Joker. If it would not have been for Batman, there would be no Joker. Someone had to throw him in that vat of acid. Someone had to make him the Joker. So to turn around now and try to say, oh, it was just this guy who was down on his luck and had one bad day, it's like, no, that's not the Joker. What origin that we do know of the Joker, that's not the Joker. I think that's part of what drove me crazy about Gotham on TV. That's not the Joker. I mean, pinpoint, nailed it down, kind of like Batman's parents dying in that alley. Batman made the Joker. Without Batman, there would be no Joker. And I don't think this movie gets in on that. I know, like you said, they reference Gotham a lot and Arkham Asylum. And so it's kind of like they want you to believe this is the Joker. But if you take all of that out and just name him Tom, it's going to be a great movie. But I will not see it as a DC, this is the Batman's Joker. I just can't, I know the character way different than that. But one thing I do want to touch on is some of the comments on the trailer. People are like, oh my God, this is the best since Heath Ledger. And it's kind of like, no. I didn't like him. He was okay. But once again, when you get away from what makes the Joker, it's not the same character. They need to come up with another name for these guys, because that's not working.
This film could literally be called, just from the trailer alone, you could just call the film Smile. And you just referenced him as the clown.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Yep.
And you pointed out, I'll let me step back and let everybody else say something, and then I'll come back in. So go ahead. Who wants to go next? Their thoughts.
I did not really see it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I can't comment on it.
Okay.
But what I've understood, it, like you said, it could be named a multitude of things, and Joker is not one of them.
Well, even if you called it Joker and just took the DC title away from it, that would have been okay too, you know.
The feeling, I kind of compare they're milking off the notoriety just like any other remake is that they do now. They're milking, they're trying to cash in on their notoriety and then try to do something is completely different. You mentioned nailing down the origin. I'm reminded of the graphic novel Arkham Asylum, which I believe a new edition is going to be coming out later this year. I highly recommend it if you've not picked it up. Written by Grant Morrison, and I believe art by Dave McKean, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Beautiful book, a great story. And I remember one of the things that was the whole premise is inmates literally take over the asylum and have hostages, and their demands are essentially for Batman to, it was either spend some time or be over there overnight, so he can see how they live in the asylum. So he's dealing with all of his enemies around him, and there's like one of the doctors stayed behind. And so they're having these conversations about some of the patients, and they get to the Joker. And she talks about he's literally a new man every day. He can wake up today and he could be a homicidal maniac. He can wake up the next day, then he's a practical Joker. And I thought that was such a great way back then to tie in all the different versions of the Joker that we've seen in the comic books from his first appearance in 1940 to that point. And it's something else that was kind of pointed, that was kind of built on The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's, where he had different stories about how he got the scars. So there was always, so you never knew what was actually true, and that's kind of one of the appeal. You don't know. There's a mystery to them, and you don't. Once you reveal the mystery, you kind of lose a little bit of the appeal. And the thing about Joker is he is chaos incarnate.
Ever changing.
The only thing that's constant is the change. Yeah.
That is crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for me, it's not so much that, yes, Batman making him, that's his origin, but what makes him mysterious is we don't really know anything before that.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if they want to, like Ledger and them, if they want to be like, that's, beforehand, but it seems like everybody wants to change that, like I said, over and over and over again. Batman made him. And like with Ledger, they took that out of there. I feel like now with Joker, they're taking that out of there when that's really the only true thing we know about the Joker.
Well, they have to take that out of there because Batman's not around. Some of the stuff I've been reading and analysis of the trailer, which, everybody, one of the questions that people are asking is that little sequence where he's dealing with a young boy that'll kind of there's like a barred fence between them, and he's making the boy smile, and everybody's going, "Is that Bruce Wayne?" And I'm like, just because he's a boy doesn't necessarily mean he has to be Bruce Wayne. But it's kind of interesting. But I part of me also hopes that they don't go down that route, because we've kind of already seen that with Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
So But
And see, I don't think, the comics are really great about not putting an age on their characters, but I always just assumed that Batman and the Joker were about the same age. Joker was not really settled in a career and was mixed up in some of the things you do when you're young and stupid. So I kind of seen that he, or always thought he was the same age as Batman. Maybe a little older, but not by much. That's why I always kind of had to laugh when people are like, oh, Joker killed Batman's parents. No, he didn't. And I don't care who tries to write that into a script. He did not kill Batman's parents. Just didn't happen. They've already told us who did that. Batman almost married his daughter. I mean, it just wasn't good.
Mikey, your thoughts?
See, and that's another mystery that never really needed to be solved either. I mean, how in what positive way does it affect Batman, or Bruce Wayne for that matter, that he knows who actually killed his parents? What difference does it make?
Because he's the world's greatest detective. And the biggest mystery of his life he couldn't solve.
Okay. Sherlock Holmes had the same problem. Where do you think they
But
got
Batman's
that
better
idea
than
from?
Sherlock.
Is he? Is he?
In DC's mind?
Yeah,
Yes.
Only in the only because he's their cash cow. But I
Right.
digress. As was hinted earlier, by other people. To put it bluntly, I don't want this movie. I just don't. I think no good can come from this. I think there is no possible good. If this is a Joker origin story, no good can come of it.
Mm-mm.
Because you can't. The Joker is a character who for 70 years now has intentionally not had an origin.
Yeah.
I don't care who you put on screen. This is not going to work in those terms. Will it be an interesting movie? Perhaps. Does it have an impressive cast? Most certainly.
Mm.
But nobody, and I've already heard some other opinions, and I find it kind of funny that some of the opinions I've heard mirror ours almost frighteningly so. And I know you guys have not listened to some of the stuff I've listened to, because I know you guys don't really listen to podcasts much. Yeah, there's just nobody. So far, I haven't heard of any comic fan, any DC fan, any Batman fan, any Joker fan that wants this movie.
Yeah. Well, this is going to sound kind of snobbish for me to say, but you have a lot of those fans who go to the movies that have never picked up a comic book in their life, and they're going to go watch this, and they're going to go, oh, that's how the Joker came about. And, and then for years we will be fighting this movie. No, that's not what happened.
Well,
that's what irks me.
What's really going to happen here is, like you said, it's like the most famous line from The Killing Joke, if I remember correctly. The Joker is very almost no different at all from Batman, except for one bad day.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is not about one day.
Mm-mm.
Therefore, you're painting this character, you're drawing this character who you're going to watch get abused mercilessly by whatever systems he's involved in over a long period of time. There's only one purpose for that type of story, and that is to build sympathy. And if you make the Joker a sympathetic character, you have fucked over the Joker, and you have fucked over Batman, and you have fucked over everything they've done for 80 years.
Amen. Preach it. Totally agree.
So I don't want this movie.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
I said, and I like the actor. What is it?
Sure.
I know.
Joaquin Phoenix? Absolutely.
yeah.
Phoenix.
He's a
Yes,
really
I
good actor.
love the actor.
Really good.
And like I said, I think this part he will pay amazing, but it's just what they're choosing to make this movie.
But it can't be the Joker.
Yeah, it can't be. DC needs to pull back on that one.
And
Is
it's
it Warner
too late.
Brothers
They're
that-
not going to.
Yeah, no. Oh no. They're known for going head first right into the wall, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because every other movie that they've done in this dark style has worked so well so far.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes I feel with DC that they don't really care what their fans want. They're trying to hit a certain point, a certain budget point, a certain top Marvel one, or, you know, and they're so worried about grabbing all of these other people in and moviegoers and that kind of thing, when, I'm sorry, if you want to get nasty about it, we buy their books every week. Every week. Never fails. You know, we've even gone to Walmart to buy their books, you know. When do they start thinking about us? When do they start making a movie for the fans instead of all of these, I hate to say fake fans, but that's what they're not. They're not the comic book fans.
Okay.
They may be a Batman fan.
Okay.
But
The answer to this question is actually pretty simple. You talk about all the people buying the comics. How much money was spent on DC Comics last year?
for me,
No, all DC
Oh.
Comics. How much
I was
money
gonna say, I
did
don't
DC?
know, but
Right.
I probably put Tom King's kid through college.
A small. I promise you, it's a small fraction of how much money they're going to make off of one movie, even if it
Right.
doesn't do all that well.
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of sad, though?
That depends on which end of that paycheck you're on.
Yeah, true.
Yes, it's really sad for you because you're not getting the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars from the terrible DC movie universe films.
Right.
But somebody is, and they think it's a damn fine idea to keep doing it because you know what? People keep buying them movie tickets, and a whole lot more people buy movie tickets than buy comic books. So, are we really that concerned about the people who buy comic books? No.
But for how long?
As
I
long
don't
as they
buy
can
comic
continue to
books
make $1
because it was
billion
a
a
trend.
movie.
Right.
Comics
But are
are
they-
never going to sell $1 billion of anything.
No, they won't. But how long is the comic book movie trend going to last for them?
Right now, they don't care.
Yeah. They don't care.
It is happening now. They're making
riding-
mediocre movies and making $500 million a pop at it. Whatever. Make another one.
Yeah.
They'll ride the train until it derails, and then they'll go, okay, well, that was fun. What's next?
Yep.
No, then they'll get on top of it and start jumping it and slapping it. Come on.
I want to go back to...
And all of the people who are still buying the comic books will still be there when they get to that
Yeah.
point. So they'll still
still be
have that
buying.
income. So
That's
it won't
true.
make any difference to them.
I want to go back to a point that Mike just made. The timing of this is really, really bad. Because, you know, all the complaints about how grim and gritty and depressing the films were. Then you get Wonder Woman that was well received. Then you get Aquaman that's real well received. We already mentioned Shazam, how the public has responded to that, you know, because of the lightheartedness and adventure in the film. And literally the next DC movie is going to be The Joker.
Yeah.
The darkest friggin' thing you can think of.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would be worse is if they literally made him a serial killer and just kill him in the most sadistic way possible. I mean, but they were already down this road when they made this change, and it just... It's another poor decision in a series of poor decision, which we've already gone over this several times, so we really don't need to go over it one more time. But it's just
I said, I think it'll be great, just not as a Joker origin story.
Oh, I think it'll be a fine film. There's already. It is so funny. One of the first things I saw, you either loved it or you just hated it, the trailer. But I was already saying, okay, this is going to be an Academy Award-winning film. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
From a trailer.
From a trailer, you think this is going to be Oscar-worthy?
I will say there's one part in the trailer where he's sitting, after they've shown him just getting beat down over and over, he's sitting in front of the mirror, and he puts his fingers inside of his mouth and lifts his cheeks up to smile. And when he takes his fingers, he even failed to force himself. And to me, when I watch that, I kind of sympathize with that feeling, and your heart kind of breaks at that point. So I think he's going to do really well putting the emotions out there, and like Mikey said, getting you to sympathize with this guy. And it'll be a good movie, but not as what they're presenting it as.
So that's our thoughts about this film. We would love to hear your thoughts and feelings about the trailer. And you have any questions or whatever regarding our picks, we would love to hear if you have any suggestions for a casting for our Justice League movie. Please contact us. It would be great. It would be great to hear your feedback. With that, we're going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It is time for our weekly picks, and leading off is Liz.
All right. My first pick is a trade. It's The Magic Order by Mark Millar. I think this was supposed to be picked up on Netflix as a series on there. I haven't seen it yet, or I may have missed it. But this one's kind of neat. People are magic. You have witches and wizards and all that good stuff. But they have to start hiding it, and they go to work with us now. But at night is when all the magic comes out, and they fight, the evil forces in the world and everything else. So one day, all of these older magicians, wizards and stuff start dying off one by one, and they figure out that someone's killing them off, and they've got to figure out who and why. And pretty good series, little short series, 6 issues, all collected in here. So if you like a good story, Mark Millar definitely puts one out there, and this one was no exception.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okay. My first pick is an Image book, and this is one I've talked about before, but I'm doing it anyway for kind of ulterior reasons. I'm picking Gideon Falls. This is issue number 12 that's coming out, and it's actually the start of a new arc. This is a very interesting, very dark, kind of. I want to say supernatural horror, but that might be actually overstating it a bit. It's hard to tell at this point. We're still pretty early in this, but there's just a lot of cool stuff going on, and there's some really dark stuff, and there's some interesting crazy in this book. But that's not actually why I'm picking this. The reason I'm picking this is because in addition to number 12 coming out this week, they're putting out a T-shirt to go with the series, and the T-shirt is absolutely beautiful. It just goes to show what you can do with red ink on a black shirt, or on a black anything really. It's very cool, and I like it. And even if you're not willing to spring for the T-shirt, go check out the title because it's awesome.
Cool.
Very cool.
I have to check
Good
out the shirt.
attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, I am next, and for my first pick, I'm going with Ahoy Comics. It's the first issue of a new book called Planet of Nerds. And the premise is of 3 jocks who are accidentally frozen by experiment, and they wake up in present day where they are surrounded by nerds and nerd culture, which you know how that is because you're listening
to us, right?
You're listening to a nerd podcast. So, spoiler, I have read this already, and I love the book. I think it's going to be a fun series. Even if I hadn't read it, this was going to be my pick because the premise is just so great. I thought it's going to be a fun book, and it will be.
Cool.
I'm in for that.
Mm-hmm.
Could be fun.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually one of my books for review. So you'll actually read my thoughts here in a few more days. So, alrighty, Les.
My first choice comes from American mythology, and this is Laurel and Hardy #1. This is a good time for this magazine. The illustrator, Jorge Pacheco, is returning after 30 years to do Laurel and Hardy. This is all new material, so I've got a feeling this is going to be fun because it is being fanned. The flames are being fanned because of the release of the Laurel and Hardy movie, starring John C. Reilly and Steve Coogan. So I'm ready for this. American mythology has come across with some really good stuff, and they are even pitching a limited edition. I think it comes out in 1 week of Laurel and Hardy Classics, and it is 350 pages of comics. So this #1 will be the starting point for you. Try it out.
Dang.
Cool.
Nice.
That's awesome, though.
Alrighty. I believe, Liz, you are up again.
All right. My second pick is Oz, the Heart of Magic from Zenescope. Zenescope has done 5 other series on Oz, and I doubt this will be their last one. But the last series ended with Dorothy in the wrong body, and she's been thrown out of the Emerald City, away from all of her friends and everybody who's helped her the last 5 series. So this one should be pretty neat. Coming back together, and like I said, Zenescope hasn't put out a bad Oz story. So if you're even slightly remoted interested in Oz, this is definitely a good line. And Zenescope is always real good about, even if you haven't read the other 5 stories before this, they sum it up really good in the beginning. So you're starting kind of fresh. Everybody's starting on the same page. So if you'd like to jump in on this one's starting up, or like I said, all those other graphic novels can get you caught up pretty quick too.
Yeah, sure, they'll be happy to sell them to you.
Yeah. I'm surprised they weren't put on. Usually when you have a new series come out, they'll put the older ones up, they'll offer them at the same time, and I didn't see that this time, though.
Yeah, no knock on Zenescope, but they're not really one of the bigger publishers, so that's tough to do sometimes, especially with 5 books.
But they are available on their website,
Yep.
so.
I bet they have some that they'd be happy to give to you.
Mm-hmm.
For money.
Well, not yeah. I was about to say not give, but yeah.
Not give to you. But I think, I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan, and the twist that they've put on this is so different than anything I could have ever thought about the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Just the way they brought the four witches in and stuff was kind of like, wow, you never thought about that, but if there was a good witch, there had to be a bad witch, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yep.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that case, my second pick is a Boom Studios book, and I've actually picked this one before too. I'm not gonna lie. But Black Badge #9 is coming out this week, and if you have not checked out this book, it is very cool. I mean, this is. I'm a little hesitant to try to compare this book to anything else, because the first thing you want to compare it to is Mind Management, which is another Matt Kent book. But let's put it this way. Black Badge is a very interesting and dark take on like the Boy Scouts as a concept. And I don't know if I can tease it any better than that. It's very cool, and it's given that the main characters are all kids. It's a fairly dark book, and it's got an interesting kind of scope to it. So that's kind of the best I can do without spoiling stuff too much. So it would definitely be a good one to check out.
Yep.
Cool.
Agreed. I am next, and for my second pick, I'm also going with a book from Boom Studios, and it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer #4. And this is the end of the first story arc, and things are going to be shaken up, but good in this one. If some of the scuttlebutt I've been hearing is accurate, I find it interesting. I know there's going to be some hardcore fans that are going to be upset, but it's been an interesting book so far, and I know that's pretty much Mikey's feeling. He's not saying yay or nay. He's just saying it's interesting. But I'm just kind of curious where we're going to go if things are going the way that I have heard. In addition to that, Boone has pulled a really cool stunt that, unannounced, the same day that Buffy the Vampire Slayer #4 comes out, there will also be Angel #0. So you can pick up what's apparently going to be a new Angel series. That'll be cool. I hadn't got the details on who's actually doing the book, but I think it was pretty neat that they sprung this on as a surprise that not even retailers knew. So kudos for Boone for doing things to shake things up in a positive way. I think that's awesome.
Yep, I'd like to see that #0.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And then Les.
And then me. My second choice is Houdini, Master Detective #1 from Antarctic Press. This mature audience comic is concerning Harry Houdini, his wife Bess, and Scotland Yard. Scotland Yard is trying to locate the evil person and are asking Houdini and Bess to assist them. But when Harry and his wife are on the case. The villain kidnaps Bess. So from there, you've got your story. So being a Houdini fan and enjoying Antarctic Press when they do get their books out, I'm looking forward to this one.
Cool.
Yep, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep. Alrighty, and our honorable mention this week is...
Okay, our honorable mention this week is an Aftershock book, and it is titled Mary Shelley, Monster Hunter, and this is issue number 1. And the premise here, without going into too much detail, because I think it's a fun premise. The idea is that it has always been a little weird and surprising that a 19-year-old girl, a relatively sheltered 19-year-old girl for that matter, came up with such a dark story as Frankenstein. Well, the premise here is that she didn't come up with it. She wrote it down in her journal because she kind of lived it. And I am really interested in seeing how that goes. Partly because I'm a huge fan of Frankenstein. And also just because it's just one of those too weird to be true type stories. And so it'll be fun to see how they can kind of twist it into being a little more realistic. I don't know. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, this was pretty much on everybody's list, so this is why it became our honorable mention, because we didn't really want to fight over it. It's like, okay, there you go.
Right.
So
We'll just all do it together.
There you go.
And make me talk about it.
Sure. Why not?
Sharing is caring.
Mm-hmm.
Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
Nothing's springing to mind.
Nope.
Not here.
Okay. We'll just go ahead and go to our regular shout-outs. Obviously, first is to Pop Goes the Culture for inviting us to be part of their podcast network. Go check out some of those shows. We'll have a link in our notes. Thank you, guys. We do appreciate your support. And obviously, we appreciate the support of our fellow podcasters, better known as Podern Family on Twitter, for retweeting our links to the show. You should definitely go check them out. And the easiest way to do that is to go to Twitter and do a search, hashtag Podern Family, all one word. And just keep on looking. You find something that kind of catches your attention, click on that link, download that episode, and knock yourselves out. Thank you guys for your support. Manny the Martyr, who supplied the music for our podcast, thank you guys. Once again, we'll have a link in the show notes. You can access their music, which is some pretty cool stuff. Go check it out. And finally, you, dear listener, we do appreciate your support as always. Thank you for listening. We value your feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, complaint, observation, suggestion, whatever, I put out another call for questions for doing a Q&A episode. If you have a question you would love us to kind of go over and discuss, by all means, send it our way. We would love those. And there are several ways you can contact us. Email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net is our email address. Or you can go to the website and click on About Us, and there's a contact form that you can fill out. We already mentioned having a Facebook page, The Fellowship of the Geeks. Feel free to follow us there. And if you plan on going to our meetups, which we highly encourage you to do so, you can always click on that you're going. That'll give us a better idea of who all's coming. We would appreciate that. Obviously, we're on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Feel free to follow us there. And if you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. And I can be found at TomTC Geek. And we're actually messing around with MeWe. It's a social media platform that's apparently been around for a few years. We're checking that out, and we've actually set up a group page. So if you're on MeWe, definitely you can do a search and find us and join our group page. That would be awesome. We just started messing with that, so we don't have any links anywhere just yet. But like I said, we're available on through the search. And wherever you download our episodes, we would greatly appreciate it if you took a couple of moments to rate and review our show. Thank you very, very much. Any final thoughts before we say goodnight?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate you listening.
Thank you again, everybody, for checking us out. We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,